is 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. This is a regular meeting of the Governing Board of the Catalina Foothills School District. I do want to note for the record that almost everybody is seated on one side of the room, which happens to be closest to the door. So I don't know if that was intentional, but if you want to make a quick getaway after the presentation, we get it. On behalf of the Governing Board, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. This meeting is open to the public for attendance both in person and through YouTube Live. In a few minutes, I will read the rules of order for public comment at Governing Board meetings. If you wish to make a comment remotely, you should have signed up using the Google form that is available under the YouTube Live description. If you don't see the link to the Google form, you should refresh the live stream. If you're attending in person, please fill out this purple form. It looks like this. It's on the table in the back of the room. It's titled Request to Address the Governing Board, which is available on the table in the back of the room. I said that already, sorry. And you will hand that form to our board secretary, Amy Sams. You just wait. So this is a good moment to pause. And Amy Sams, Miss Sams always sits in that spot, and she does a lot of stuff, and she does it very quietly and in the background, but tomorrow is Administrative Professionals Day, and so we want to take a moment and recognize all that Amy Sams does for our board. Those certificates that you're going to get wouldn't be printed without her. The letters that are sent thanking everyone for donations wouldn't happen without her. We wouldn't have these fabulous agenda items or our board minutes or our meetings posted. And there are any number of things I could go on and on and on. But suffice it to say that what Amy does for us, and that is not really known or seen by many people, is really integral to our work. And we greatly appreciate everything you do for us, Amy. You're so welcome.
I would just add that it's always with the most brilliant smile on her face. Yeah. I have never seen Amy have a bad day. I'm sure you have, but no one ever sees that. And always really appreciate the smile on your face. Thank you, Amy.
Did I embarrass you enough?
And Amy and I have been partners for 14 years.
Wow.
We worked together for 14 years.
That's amazing.
Wonderful.
When I was the assistant superintendent, she was my administrative assistant, and then when I took over as superintendent, she moved with me.
Thank you for staying in it for the long haul. We appreciate it. If there's a public hearing on the agenda and you wish to make a public comment on that topic, you can sign up now or anytime prior to the opening of the public hearing. The next item on the agenda is 1.2, our Pledge of Allegiance. And since we have students in the audience tonight, I would love to invite all of you up to the front of the room so that you can lead us and our guests in the Pledge of Allegiance. There you go. The flag is over here. This way. There you go. You got it. Ready to start?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Item 1.3 is the rules of order for public comment at governing board meetings. The Governing Board welcomes public comments at its meetings by providing 2 opportunities for the public to address the board. If your topic of interest is not on the agenda, you may address the board during the public comments time slot near the beginning of the meeting. If the topic is on the agenda, you may speak just prior to the discussion of that agenda topic, and in the event there is a public hearing, the opportunity to speak will be reopened. Everyone wishing to make a public comment must submit the request to address the governing board form, which is required for our meeting minutes. If you are appearing remotely, that form is available below the YouTube link. And for those attending in person, again, that form is at the back of the room. Speakers will be called upon when it is your turn to address the board. For those attending remotely, please remember to activate your camera and microphone prior to speaking. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The sound of a buzzer indicates the end of your 3 minutes. In the event of a large number of speakers, the board may need to limit that time so that we may conduct the business on the agenda. By law, the board cannot consider, discuss, or vote on topics that are not on the agenda. This assures the community that they are aware of the topics that will be discussed this evening. If you wish to discuss a topic through written communication, board members' contact information can be found on the district website. We appreciate the community's attendance and comments at this meeting. Thank you. Alrighty. Item 1.4 is the main event for most of you who are attending this evening. I invite Vice President Tom Loeb to take the podium in order to present the Catalina Foothills School District Star Award to Sunrise Drive Elementary School in recognition of their earning of the A+ School of Excellence Award from the Arizona Education Foundation.
Thank you. All right. Welcome, Sunrise family and Sunrise families. We know why we are here tonight. We're here to celebrate the A+ School of Excellence Award from the Arizona Educational Foundation. But as I was thinking through what to talk about tonight, I was thinking about what are we celebrating exactly? Because it's one thing to know a place is special, it's another thing to articulate why. So I thought I would try at least. Obviously, we're celebrating the award itself. In the words of the AEF, those who are giving out these awards, schools that earn the A+ School of Excellence Award stand out for their dedication to providing exceptional education to the students of Arizona, implementing practices that go far beyond the standard. The A+ award transcends test scores and letter grades, examining every facet of school success. I think those of you who were involved in any part of this process agree with that every facet part. 2,400-ish public schools in the state of Arizona, and 48 got this award this year. That's really, really impressive. Of course, celebrating this award means acknowledging what makes Sunrise so special. That includes academics, Chinese immersion, robotics lab, the clubs, the garden, Read with a Dog, Spiders and Cider, and so much more. But deeper than that, Sunrise is a school with a rich culture, and there are examples of that everywhere you look. This is a school where, when you go to an FFO meeting, you might find cards like these, written by kindergartners to thank the FFO for a set of books that were purchased for their classroom. This is adorable. I will note I took these with permission. This is a school where the principal knows her 480 students by name and greets them with a smile as they enter the campus in the morning. As one parent I spoke with put it, those kids don't have a chance to show up grumpy. This is a school that teaches students empathy, acceptance, and understanding, not as classroom behaviors, but as lifelong values. Watch these students interact, and you are likely to witness offers of help, words of support, expressions of genuine caring. I heard story after story of that. And this is a school that stood out so much that one of the judges inquired whether the children had been prepared and instructed to be on their best behavior during the site visit. Spoiler, they had not been prepared. It was a typical day at Sunrise. But we're not just here to talk about how great Sunrise is. We're also here to talk about how great the people in this room are. This group is responsible for a collective effort of hundreds of hours of work in achieving that A+. Work that started last summer, work that spanned months of nights and weekends and vacations, work that exceeded the process of becoming a National Blue Ribbon School, which Sunrise also is. This included a densely written and carefully edited 40-page application in which every single word mattered and was thought and rethought. A 58-slide presentation delivered to judges. Interviews with administrators, staff roundtable discussions, parent roundtable discussions, students leading judges on tours of the school, unaccompanied. Imagine that for a minute. You're a fourth grader or a fifth grader. You're giving an AEF judge a tour of the school, answering their questions, giving highlights of your school experience without a teacher or other familiar face by your side. I know plenty of adults who would shy away from that assignment. Ultimately, you all are the reason we are here tonight, because without you, there would be no A+. So on behalf of the CFSD Governing Board, thank you all. You are the reason that it's good to be at Sunrise. We are recognizing your contributions tonight by presenting each of you with a STAR Award that recognizes the Arizona Educational Foundation awarding the A+ School of Excellence, and includes also a pin from CFSD that includes our mission and our vision, which you will find very closely aligns with what you practice every day at Sunrise. Jacqueline, you want to help? I will read the names. Jacqueline will provide the awards, and then as I call you up, if you would just hang out over here, and we will do some group pictures afterwards. We will start with Principal Andrea Davidson. I know not everyone is in attendance tonight. I'm going to read all the names so that you are all read into the record. Carmela Zega. Charlotte Ackerman. Anna Barron. Randy Fisher. Sarah McNamara. Tara Muley. Jill Green. Lindsay Johnson. Ishwari Bandapede. Wyatt Golish. Alina Nguyen. And Pierce Zaucha. Thank you all for everything you do day in and day out to make Sunrise such a special place. Let's go to the back of the room and get some pictures.
We'll take a few minutes to take some photos. That was so nice.
It was a great speech.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. What's wrong with you?
Like you set the temperature, didn't you?
You're my dad. Tell me.
If you take it off, give it to me so I can put it on.
Sorry. You are.
But I can wrap this around. Just let it incidental.
We so appreciate all of you being here. It's not so easy to get out at a, dinner time, early evening on a weekday, especially those of you who are have already taught a full day or worked a full day. Parents, we know you also have a lot to do. So everyone is, of course, welcome to stay. However, once you're finished with the photos, we completely understand if you choose to do something else with your evening. Thank you, Tom. That was great.
Nice job, Tom.
Nice job.
Best part of the job, right?
It is the best part of the job.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Nobody's staying? Really?
Thank you.
This is just.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Percent.
Didn't help.
Not the pronunciations. While some of our audience members are exiting the room, I think we can go on to our next agenda item, which is public comments, because I have not received any purple forms from anybody present here, nor has anybody signed up to make a comment online.
Okay.
So that will open and close public comments.
That makes short work of that.
There we go. That it does.
Okay.
Yes.
Item 3.1. Item 3 is our consent agenda that is comprised of items 3.1 through 3.10. Does any board member have an item to pull for further discussion this evening?
I do.
Okay, what are we pulling?
I'd like to pull 3.7, approval of addition and removal of core and supplemental textbooks and resources.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I would like to pull 3.4, which is the fundraising request memorandum.
okay. Jacqueline, do you have anything to pull? Tom?
I do not.
Okay, so with respect to every item except 3.4 and 3.7, may I have a motion?
May. I move that the governing board approve consent agenda items 3.1, the governing board April 7th, 2026 regular meeting minutes as presented, 3.2, the expense voucher memorandum as presented, 3.3, the field trip request memorandum as presented, 3.5, the personnel memorandum as presented, 3.6, the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented, 3.8, the terms and conditions for the acceptance of monies from the School Facilities Division Building Renewal Grant Fund for BRG project number BRG-008048 for the installation of new electrical service disconnects at Catalina Foothill High School in the estimated amount of $12,000 as presented. 3.9, the expenditures for structured cabling in the amount of $361,334.66 as presented. And 3.10, the expenditures for wireless local area network upgrade and network switch upgrades in the amount of $817,187.21 as presented.
Thank you for that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 3.4 is the approval of the fundraising request memorandum. Eileen.
Yeah, and I pulled this only because I had had some conversation with Denise after reading the item. And there is one item on there, the girls basketball boosters, their basketball shootout. And for whatever reason, the numbers caught my eye that the revenues were 6,000, the income was 3,000. And I was trying to figure out what could add up to $3,000 in expenses, putting on what I imagine in my mind is a relatively simple event. So I inquired of Denise, and she got back to me, and I just thought it would be nice for all of you guys to be edified on this.
Yes. So the boosters actually filled out the form incorrectly. They are planning to make $6,000. They already have $3,000 of it spent, and so that's why they thought that the revenue was just going to be $3,000 more, because they already have $3,000 of expenditures that they have planned for it. So that is why.
Thank you.
The expenses didn't go against
No,
fundraiser, they
No,
were
it's
just money they raised.
They're just
Okay.
being used for the purpose for which they were being raised, and they, I think, just misunderstood the form.
Correct.
Thank you for looking into that, I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
We had lots of annoying questions.
No, it's okay. They're not annoying questions. And since we have this item open for discussion, is there anything else on the fundraising request memorandum or fundraising requests that any other board member has a question about?
No.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion.
I move that the governing board approve the fundraising request memorandum as presented.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve item 3.4. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then finally, Gina, 3.7, the core and supplemental textbooks and resources.
Thank you. Excuse me, my allergies are playing up tonight, so I will apologize on behalf of Palo Verde trees everywhere. So, core and supplemental textbooks and resources. There were two questions that I asked Denise, and similarly to Eileen, I thought it would be beneficial for everyone here to hear those responses as well. So the first question, Denise or Cheryl, not sure who's going to speak to this, is with regards to the first paragraph in the cover memorandum, which says in part that pursuant to ARS and citing codes, apologies, no, that's above that. It says in part, presented is the list of supplemental textbooks and resources that have been on display for public review and comment for 60 days. And I thought it might be helpful for either Denise or Cheryl to speak to that review period and whether and to what extent any member of the public or of our school community checked out those resources or reviewed them.
So whenever we have a 60-day preview period, we always have the resources available online. You've probably seen them on the website. The ones that are hard copies are located in our office, in the curriculum office, on a shelf, and the public can make an appointment to come in and view those if they'd like. This time we had 0 inquiries via email, phone call. Nobody asked to come in to see the hard copy resources. No one sent an email. Sometimes a parent will send an email to a principal, which will be relayed to me. That didn't happen this time either, and we didn't have any of the forms, the feedback forms that the public can fill out about particular resources. None of those were received either for this preview period.
Cheryl, where is it advertised that the resources are available for review?
So it's on our website, first of all, and then in every school site posts it in their front office, and so it's available there as well.
Thank you. Any other questions on the back of that before I go on to my next question, which is a different topic?
Okay.
Okay. Second question is further in the cover memorandum, second paragraph, it says in part, and this is in relation to perspectives of modern history. It says, because the previously board-approved core resource for perspectives on modern history is no longer available, teachers are developing and curating course materials to ensure continued rigor, balance, and alignment with district standards. Can you please speak to why it's no longer available?
Well, it was kind of a mystery to us. We received on April 29th of 2025 an email from the Office of the Provost of Brown University saying that the resource, the Choices program, would no longer be available to anyone. And I'm going to read directly from a part of their letter where they explained why. They said, a detailed assessment of the program's finances and organization has made it clear that it is no longer economically viable in its current structure at Brown. Expenses for the program have significantly exceeded revenue for multiple recent fiscal years, an imbalance that is expected to worsen and cannot responsibly and sustainably be managed. They went on to say that Brown retains the intellectual property and the content is not being licensed or maintained for classroom access as of the program end date. And then after that, we received an additional email asking us to destroy any hard copies of the materials that we had after June 30th, 2025, which we did. And they also said that our digital access would be cut off on that date, and it was. And so in anticipation of that, Leah Glashow-Mandel and I started to work with the teacher to gather resources. We did look at some core resources, some textbook type resources. We could see that most of those would become outdated very quickly, and they didn't really serve our needs. And so we decided to build the program on our own. And that's what the teacher and I are involved in doing now. And then this summer, Leah, the teacher, and I have set aside days to work on that as well. So she'll start the year out this year on a little bit more solid ground. This year she's been building the plane as she flies it. She's been doing a great job, so we appreciate her work.
So can you give just a little bit of, in the supplemental list that was provided, the addendum, it did give, gosh, a good dozen, I want to say, sample materials resources that would be used to shore up this curriculum. Can you just give maybe one or two examples of the kind of things that you're looking into with the teacher?
This course actually, the resources that we put forth are, sometimes it's hard for people who aren't involved in the process to understand why we're selecting certain resources. But the main idea is that multiple people are reviewing these and we're looking at the standards to build it. So Gina asked a really good question about one of the articles, which was titled, "Trump says he'll impose a new 100% tariff on China over and above current rates." Massive, oh, that wasn't the one. That was the one with the typo in it, wasn't it, Gina?
Just the one above that.
It was the other one about Trump. But she noted very wisely, she said, it doesn't seem that this article has much depth to it. And that was intentional, because the reason that this teacher is using this is it's a set of articles that she's building so that students can begin to identify journalistic bias. And so they read these articles blind, not knowing what the source is, and they identify the writer's style, what the writers are emphasizing, what they're omitting, how they're framing problems, what they're avoiding saying, and perhaps why, what their goal is in communicating. And so that particular article was selected because it was very, it wasn't dense at all, and it didn't really
On the contrary.
it was
superficial.
it was like no news, and then they're comparing that to another one that presents it completely differently. There's another resource that Gina pointed out that the teachers are using. The teacher is using. It's a video about another issue, and it's from an Australian news source, because another thing they're trying to do is to see how issues are presented in different contexts, so that kids can see, well, why would Australia be emphasizing certain points that aren't emphasized in South America, for example, about the same issue? What are they trying to communicate to their people? And so all of this, it's really less about, I hate to say it's less about the content, because the content is important, but it's more about developing students' ability to be critical readers and to understand what the author's purpose is. There was one more that struck me as I was working with a teacher that also struck Gina. It was a marijuana study. And it really has little to do with the actual marijuana, but it has to do with the way that data is used to guide the public's perception as health policy is being made. And they're also doing this in the context of seeing that sometimes in the past, public health officials and others have framed data in a way that ends up being a bit unfair and unjust to certain groups of people. And so students are looking at this kind of data for bias, those types of bias, what the ultimate goal of the authors are. So although as you're reading through these, you're saying, wow, you're jumping from Trump to marijuana to this, it's about developing students' ability to read about history and to understand why things are communicated the way they are, and how to interpret news sources.
Thank you so much. I think
You're welcome.
It's really helpful. It's certainly for me, I'm seeing a lot of nodding heads. Just to have that greater insight as to how the curriculums are prepared and the variety of resources. And to your point, teaching our students, I mean, yes, teaching the content is important, as you said yourself, but teaching them how to be critical thinkers. And that is, as we all know and appreciate, is so important. And part of our responsibility to create learners, not just for today, but for tomorrow. So thank you for diving into this with us tonight.
One last thing on this, because Courtney, who's Courtney Casapal, teaches us, she commented in our last meeting how students are doing what she really wanted them to do. They're not studying issues in isolation. They're starting to connect different issues together and say, look, they use the same strategies for this because they wanted to, for this particular issue, because they wanted the same outcome. And so it's interesting how kids are they're getting better at the skill of connecting big ideas across disciplines. So It's exciting. This course, a lot of work,
It
but
is.
it's exciting.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Those were my questions.
Any other questions on this?
I'll just make a comment reviewing some of those pieces and then some of the AP Psych. The AP Psych stuff makes me want to go back to school and take
Yeah.
AP Psych. But it's just really great to see that these resources are very concrete, tangible examples instead of just telling kids this is what they're going to see. But actually, to your point, like seeing, here is an actual news story that was published, and think through that. So just my compliments, because I know that's a lot of work to cobble those things together
it
rather
is.
than just take a pre-baked curriculum.
Well, yeah, and given the amount of information that's coming to young people on social media, that's being determined by algorithms, I think that skill is incredibly important, you know, to be able to discern just because it's coming to them. I mean, it allows them to start thinking about what's behind this, and is it, and is it something that is credible?
It's exactly what you said, becoming a discerning consumer
Yeah,
of communication tools and products. It's exciting stuff.
transfer skills.
There you go, transfer.
Yes.
Transfer skills. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Would you like to make a motion?
Indeed. I move the governing board approve the addition of the supplemental textbooks and resources for the elementary, middle, and high school levels and the removal of the core and supplemental resources as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ah, I clicked the wrong button. Sorry. Okay. That concludes the consent agenda and moves us on to unfinished business. Item 4.1 this evening is a second reading. It's approval of revisions for policy BA, school board operational goals. It is an action item for this evening. Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you. This, as you said, this is the second reading of policy BA, school board operational goals. This is coming to us because section B of our policy manual is undergoing revisions through our policy services through ASBA. So these were two policies that I thought were timely for us to bring forward. Policy BA was a policy that only had minor revisions. The changes made it more readable and provided more clarity. And after the first reading, there were no additional changes recommended. The major changes, the first paragraph was revised to read, the governing board is representative and responsible to the people of the district and should be aware of community opinions and attitudes and of identified district needs. And the second paragraph was revised to read, therefore, the board supports short and long-range strategies that are responsive to the district needs within its budgetary limitations. Then the date of the adoption was revised to tonight in anticipation of it being approved.
Thank you. Pretty straightforward. Any questions, comments, concerns? Motion? Motion?
I'll move that the governing board approve revisions to policy BA, school board operational goals as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Right. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the revisions to policy BA, please indicate aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And similarly, item 4.2 is a second reading of another one of those B policies. It's policy BAA, board powers and responsibilities. Dr. Bartlett.
Thank you. This policy underwent many more changes and revisions than the previous policy, so I will kind of outline them. First of all, this policy combines many policies. So it combines BBAA, which is board member authority and responsibilities, BBBB, board member oath of office, BBBC, board member resignation, BBBE, unexpired term fulfillment, and BEDC, a quorum. So all of those are now put into this. Language referring to legislative, executive, and appraisal functions was replaced with a list of board responsibilities from ARS 15-341. And those start on the second page of the policy, and they are labeled A through M. Okay. After the first reading of the policy, there were recommendations for revisions. So a paragraph was added at the beginning to explain that the board delegates day-to-day operations and implementation of policies to the superintendent, who then develops and brings recommendations to the board for approval. While the authority is delegated, the board retains ultimate responsibility, especially over the district's budget, overall oversight, and decision-making. So that paragraph kind of is an introduction then to the list of responsibilities, because some of the responsibilities seem very operational. So this paragraph was added as a caveat to why those things are included as such.
And again, that list of responsibilities comes straight from statute.
Correct.
It was written, we have no idea.
Exactly. And then under letter B, another revision that was recommended, the responsibilities of the board, the term district curriculum was included to clarify that the board excludes books, publications, papers, or audiovisual materials that are sectarian, partisan, or denominational in nature from the curriculum materials and not school libraries. And then also under letter B, it said individual responsibilities of the board was revised to read that each member has the responsibility to have general knowledge of the educational aims and objectives of the district instead of the word system.
Where is that? Oh, B below, got it.
Letter
Their
B.
duties and
Yeah,
obligations.
got it, sorry.
And then the other revisions were discussed at the first reading. The new sections were added, oath of office, familiarization with open meeting law, quorum and vacancies, board member resignation. The new adoption date was added. Applicable legal references were added to the policy that were deleted from the other policies, so they were brought over from those other policies. And then the Attorney General opinions and references to the Arizona Constitution articles have been added to this policy. And finally, a cross-reference to policy KI, visitors to schools, was also added.
And so to be clear, these oath of office, open meeting law, quorum and vacancies, board member resignation, those are all sections that came from other policies.
Came from those policies listed at the beginning that they policy BBAA, BBBB, BBBC, BBBE, BEDC. So all of those policies they included those paragraphs. And there were no language changes
Right.
in them. It was just bringing them over.
Did you ever figure out why there was that cross-reference to KI?
I was just gonna ask you as well.
Well,
Does seem
because as board members, you are public, you're visitor, if you're going to visit schools, there are
Both leaving and
procedures.
school.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So that's relating to that, presumably the board member duties and obligations?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
I did board member, what did you say, sorry?
Duties and obligations.
Yes.
Thank you for making that clarification in the beginning about the delegation of duties, because it was a little
I think it helps.
confusing when it was read without that, because it does seem like we're going to be picking out the furniture,
Correct.
which is obviously not something we've ever done,
No,
or should we ever
Right.
do. Although I really like the,
I actually think we
Tables
weighed
and
in,
chairs.
I think we weighed in on the boardroom
Yes,
furniture.
I did, I think you're
We were
right.
consulted.
I think you're
I
right.
remember going to Goodman's with Carol and Mary. and-
Really?
Oh, yes.
That's
Yes.
funny.
So outside the specific scope of policy BBA, but related, and I asked a similar question last time, but knowing that some of this comes from ASBA to us, and then we look at it and tweak it for our purposes, is there any kind of feedback loop where this goes back to ASBA to say, hey, we made these changes because it feels
Because we're
like...
smarter than you?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
No.
but if enough do, wouldn't
I
you
know.
think they would...
No, it goes through their policy bridge. So
Yeah,
they have
they-
access to this.
Yeah, they
can
will see that
it.
we've made these changes,
In
but
theory,
there's
if
no,
they're looking.
there's no feedback. As I said last time, many districts just adopt the changes from ASBA in total.
Like they just say,
All of the
all
policies
of the
that are coming.
policies are now adopted, without reading them?
Well, they read them in their packet, but they just adopt them as, they don't go policy by policy like we
Right.
do. They just, if there's a policy advisory that has 5 or 6 policies, they adopt all of them at once.
I think the reason we don't do that is a good one, which is, I mean, I think primarily we want to make sure that our policy reflects our practices.
Correct.
I think that's really important. I mean, the whole point of the policies are to give notice to everybody in our community about what the guidelines we're following. This is what we
What
do.
is your major function?
Yeah,
Is
It is our
governance.
job.
Functions of the
Is
idea
governance.
of a
Right.
blanket approval from a third party seems to me like we'd be abdicating a major responsibility. in it.
Right. This is the governance.
yeah. Anyone have anything to add before a motion? If someone's comfortable with a motion, go right ahead.
I move the governing board approve revisions to policy BBA, board powers and responsibilities as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed? Sorry, Carol. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. New business. Lisa Tatel's approaching the podium, our Director of Finance. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Item 5.1 is the approval of single audit reporting package for the year ended June 30th, 2025. The materials supporting this were hand delivered to our homes last week. Thank you for doing that because they are
It's-
meaty.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. So before we go over the results of last year's audit, I want to share a bit about what actually goes into this process, which I've never done before. So most people see the final reports, but they don't see the 11 months of preparation that lead up to it. This part of the presentation does not reference any pages, and it isn't written in the memo that I provided with the audit reporting package. So the school district's audit is a continuous cyclical process that requires year-round dedication from the business office. Currently, we are operating in a dual-track capacity. So while I'm here to present the results of the prior year's fiscal year 25 audit, our team is simultaneously deep in the trenches of the fiscal year 2026 audit cycle. So this work begins every April as I lead the massive effort to compile documentation from numerous departments for the auditors to perform their initial risk assessments, analytics, and to pick their audit selections. By the second week of May, the auditors conduct their first on-site visit to evaluate our internal controls across a wide spectrum of operations and additionally audit cash receipts, procurement, payroll, student attendance, the school district employee report, contracts, IGAs, the district's ADE budgets, information technology, various reconciliations, inventory, grant field work, transportation, the list goes on. So following this initial visit, the business office enters in its most demanding period, which is between July 1st and August 31st, where we must perform the complex parallel processing of closing out the prior fiscal year while successfully opening the new one. The auditors return for a second on-site visit during the second week of September to focus on balance sheet substantiation such as fixed assets, debt, and proper period cutoff. So once the audit fieldwork is complete, I spend the following 2 to 3 weeks comprising the annual financial report, or the AFR, which the board reviews and approves by the October 15th statutory deadline each year, which the auditors also review. So the next stage of the cycle involves collaborating with the auditors to transform the AFR data into the annual comprehensive financial report, or the ACFR, which is this beautiful orange packet. So although the delivery of the draft report in the month of November has been less consistent recently due to the continued cash reconciliation delays between the county treasurers and the county superintendent's offices, we still must meet the statutory requirement to submit the audited ACFR to various entities by December 31st, which the auditors also review. So the purpose of the ACFR is to ensure that every dollar is accounted for and that the district maintains the highest level of financial transparency and integrity. Potential investors and outside entities look at the ACFR, and the ACFR is also used as a basis for discussion with Standard & Poor's for district bond sales, as well as annual continuing disclosures. So within approximately 30 days of the ACFR issuance, the district receives the single audit report, which is this lovely bound one, the secondary specialized report included in your audit package. This report is a federal requirement for any districts expending $750,000 or more in federal funds, and also serves as a focused evaluation of our federal program management. Crucially, the single audit is the primary vehicle where auditors disclose any significant findings or internal control weaknesses, which would then necessitate a formal corrective action plan. To ensure full compliance and transparency, the senior accountant and I perform a joint review of these results before the report is submitted to the required oversight entities by the March 31st statutory deadline, which the auditors review. So the final component of the audit reporting package is the Uniform System of Financial Records, or the USFR, questionnaire. Unlike the bound reports, this is the supplemental document provided with a binder clip for your review. The USFR serves as a comprehensive compliance checklist after a head-to-toe examination of our operations. The auditors evaluate a rigorous series of questions with a yes or no response. In this context, a no indicates an audit exception. I am pleased to report that our district received only 2 exceptions, which I will detail shortly. And to provide some perspective, our auditors explicitly noted that Catalina Foothills USFR results are exceptional, ranking among the best, if not the highest, in the state. This document is statutorily required to be submitted to various entities by March 31st as well. The final step in our compliance life cycle is for the governing board to formally review and approve the district's audit via a roll call vote, which is the primary purpose of my presentation today. So before I move on to the audit report presentation, I was wondering if anybody had any questions.
That was really great.
That was
Yeah.
great.
I know. Hand that over.
I just,
Yeah.
I'm so
That
grateful
was
for that.
excellent.
Yes, no questions, just a huge, my
Thank
goodness,
you.
thank you so much.
Great
And
perspective.
just thank you not only for the report, but for that, you and your team's immense amount of work. Clearly, it's all year long.
Yeah.
And this is, I think the last 5 minutes have been incredibly insightful, so thank you very, very much.
I do have a question, Lisa.
Yeah.
Do we have people in our business office who are dedicated to nothing but the audit?
I mean,
So they do other
yeah.
things, but for the most part, they're working on the audit all year long, even though it might not take up their whole day.
Yeah, each area of the business office is responsible for, sending over the data that is needed from their area. So I'm moving on to the audit report now. The single audit reporting package for Catalina Foothills Unified School District for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, resulted in an unmodified opinion with no material weaknesses. This represents the highest level of assurance a district can receive, confirming that our financial statements and federal award programs are presented fairly and accurately. While the audit did identify a significant deficiency regarding cash reconciliation, this issue is immaterial to the financial statements and is a direct result of the ongoing delays between the Pima County Superintendent's Office and the County Treasurer. Although it is our responsibility to reconcile directly to the Pima County Superintendent of Schools financial records, the county superintendent of schools is responsible for reconciling those balances to the treasurer's office. For the third consecutive year, the Pima County Superintendent's Office has issued a formal letter to all impacted districts acknowledging their responsibility for these delays. In response, the district has significantly enhanced its technical oversight by participating in specialized training and gaining direct access to the county treasurer's financial data, allowing us to independently validate financial activity between these two entities. So I wanted to just present the two USFR compliance questionnaire exceptions only because one of the exception is also tied to the single audit disclosure. So regarding the USFR compliance questionnaire, the district received only two exceptions. The first exception, noted on page 6, was a technical exception shared by all non-accounting responsibility districts in Pima County due to the aforementioned county-level reconciliation delays. So basically, all non-accounting responsibility districts in Pima County received both a USFR exception as well as a single audit disclosure.
Is that number 4? Sorry, is that question number 4 on page 6? Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure I had it, the right one flagged.
The second exception noted on page 25, which is the only no on the page, involved a single FTE data point on the school district employee report that did not fully align with internal records. So to address this, the business office is now conducting a secondary review of the data compiled by Human Resources to ensure that the data is precise before state submission. So as we look ahead, the fiscal year 2026 audit is scheduled to begin on May 11th, 2026. And the district remains committed to maintaining our high standards of fiscal integrity, having been recognized by our auditors for possessing one of the most exceptional USFR compliance records in the state. Do you have any questions?
If I recall correctly, when we had this conversation last year about the Pima County School Superintendent's Office having encountered the same issue and receiving the same audit or exception, you had mentioned that you and your team were undertaking significant additional work on your own to try to mitigate the impact of this. Has that continued? I mean, you're still putting that extra effort in to try to mitigate the impact of this?
Yeah, so things have improved, I will say. I mean, our district doesn't have any large cash reconciling items at this point, and if they are, they're due to timing. So we did receive training on how to reconcile ourselves, but the county is able to provide a general cash reconciliation each month now, which we work collaboratively to resolve the issues. So it has improved, and I do think it will further improve once they do move over to their new financial system. What happens is there's not only issues at the treasurer in regards to them inputting the deposits manually, and so it often gets coded to incorrect districts. And then also the management of the bonds in regards to moving the cash around at the treasurer level. And then also the county's records has a tendency to spit out duplicate records that are often booked twice.
So that I'm clear.
Yeah.
There's an issue with the school superintendent's office, the county school superintendent's, and the Pima County treasurer's office, as an example.
Two other parties that are
Yes.
not us.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, the treasurer holds our money, and then the county superintendent is who helps process all of our vouchers. And
And you might not know the answer to this. Are they not interfacing properly or working well together? Maybe that's just a philosophical question.
I do often ask if they ever talk.
Are they siloed, I guess is a better question, way to
It
put it.
sounds like the county superintendent's office is at least upgrading systems to try to deal with the issue, but we don't hear much about what the treasurer's
Treasurer's doing,
office
correct.
is doing to update systems or.
It's been 3 years.
Oh, I
Also-
understand it's been 3 years. I think it's inherently unfair that we get an audit exception, that you guys, with all of the work that you do,
The double work.
get an audit
Right.
exception on something like this that it sounds like we have virtually no control over.
Yeah.
I guess, and that's the reason, you know, that the letter is noted.
Yeah.
Letters provided, letters noted. I mean, I guess, I don't know what more can, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, I guess, what more can we do to try to assure our community that these exceptions are beyond our control? Like, but,
Well, I think that's really well documented. I just wanted to go on record saying,
Yeah.
I don't blame you guys.
No,
I think it's
not at all.
inherently unfair. And we obviously cannot reach into what's happening at the county treasurer's office and help them with their processes. Likewise, in the county superintendent's office, though I know that we have a good relationship with the folks in the county superintendent's office.
And I will say Lisa has been on top of it.
Yeah.
She's contacting them frequently. She
Yeah.
stays on top of it. And gets me involved if I need to talk to Dustin Williams and things like that.
And I think you mentioned that we are not one of the districts that have a bunch of unreconciled differences that date back, I think the letter said something like 5 years.
Yeah, I know
And
ours,
we're not really dealing with those kinds of unraveling issues, but we're victims of the timing that's happening between those two offices. Got it?
So basically, they're cleaning up bigger messes and they'll get to us eventually. Kind of.
I think they probably rely on Cat Foothills to not necessarily have too many messes, so.
yeah, I think our records are relatively clean at this point. I think it's probably just timing if we were to get the exception again.
Well, hopefully we won't see it again in another year.
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
Hopefully we won't see it again.
So with the new systems that they're implementing, you think it's possible, I won't ask you to guess how likely, but it's possible that we won't be having this conversation next year.
Yeah, I think it's promising.
Okay. Good news.
And I just wanted to, very briefly, on the FTE issue that we had with our teacher FTE, and it was linked to a potential miscalculation with the teacher experience index.
It wasn't a teacher. It was an EA inclusion.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it didn't affect our funding in any way, positive or negative?
No,
It was just.
It did not.
Thank you.
I mean, I think that's actually a great illustration of how granular and detailed these audits get,
Yes.
that was even
Yes.
flagged as an exception. It's remarkable to be doing something with that level of detail, and those are the only two exceptions. Credit to you and your team.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
especially for the primer.
We have to
This
do a
is an
roll
action
call.
item.
Oh, yes.
how do I do that?
Just
Is it on
call
there?
for a vote.
Is it written in somewhere? What do I do?
So-
Oh my gosh, I don't have a
Need a motion,
script.
So is it truly just a motion?
But you have to do a roll call.
Hold on.
I don't remember ever doing that before.
I don't either.
Is this new? I don't know.
It's the third year.
Nobody's never done it.
Thank you, Lisa.
On our toes here.
Yeah.
She's like, you guys should know how to do this by now,
All right, well,
which is fair.
I move the governing board approve the single audit reporting package for the year ending June 30th, 2025 as presented.
And then roll call.
How do you do that?
How do we do
Just
that?
ask each person
Each
how they
person.
vote.
Person, how do you,
Jacqueline, how do you vote?
Aye.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Tina, how do you vote?
Aye.
How do you vote?
Aye.
I vote aye.
There's been, so no motion, no second, because we all just voted. Okay.
correct.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
I don't think we've ever done that before.
We did last year.
Yeah, it's a roll call.
We did?
I remember thinking, oh, this is new. It's not ringing one bell in my head in 14 years.
Carol will tell us.
Tomorrow.
It's
Yes,
the one that you have to do a roll call on.
this is it. This is
Okay.
the one every year.
So maybe that could be in the bottom of
Okay,
the
we will.
recommended motion.
We will put that on next time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, okay, well, thank you, that was fun. Okay,
Together with the description of how to do it, please.
yes, exactly. It's like when we do board elections.
Comes up once a year.
Yeah. Lisa, thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, our item 6 are discussion and reports. We have 4 items under discussion and reports for this evening. Item 6.1 is the fiscal year 2027 maintenance and operations budget discussion. Dr. Bartlett.
Well, I am pleased to announce that there are no changes
Oh.
from the last time you viewed this. So,
Amazing.
very short discussion.
Yeah.
There are no changes that I need to highlight.
Why
Again,
is that? Nothing happened?
No,
Nothing happened.
No additions or
Okay.
deletions.
Anything we're expecting between now and when we finalize all this?
I don't think so.
All our contracts?
The
or
only thing,
anything?
well, it might be our prepaid legal or our insurances, but nothing with staffing or anything else.
Got it.
There may be some minor ones, but this time there are none.
That's nice.
Oh, okay. That's an informational item. That means we can go on to 6.2, which is a report on the Pima County School Board Superintendent Collaborative Meeting, which was held on April 13th, which was just last week, hard to believe. And those in attendance were Todd Logue, Jacqueline Duvally, Eileen Jackson, and Dr. Bartlett. Tell us about it.
I just want to, I thanked the superintendent of Flowing Wells, but I want to note it publicly. They do a great job of putting on these events. It's a serious topic, and then we had, I hate to say levity, but we had a little quiz round about some proposed legislation about classroom spending thresholds, and so it was educational and also a great way to hear what other districts have going on, and so that's
What was the topic?
the U of A was there
Oh.
with their new admissions policies to, I guess, kind of dispel some rumor and innuendo, which I also heard today on the radio as I was driving home this morning. So they're doing some PR work around the way that they are changing their enrollment policies and rolling back and up some of the deadlines and things like that.
And beyond enrollment to maybe better getting their arms around students and helping them feel like they belong, helping them feel supported, helping them graduate in
Yes.
4 years, working with students on the admissions process, that if they really feel that a student's going to benefit both educationally and financially by starting out at Pima Community College, doing that kind of counseling and that kind of back and forth work between U of A and Pima Community College with the goal of getting that student back in a couple of years. And thinking more, obviously most universities are responding to the pushback about how expensive
Right.
a 4-year college education is, and trying
Even
to
in
make
state.
even at the state, even in a state-sponsored university like the U of A. I do have to say, one of my reactions to how they say they're going to process applications makes me wonder, have they hired 800 people in that admissions office?
Really?
Because it sounded like a much more individualized approach, and not relying on that standardized testing and litmus tests like that just weed people out. So I'm hoping they can pull it off. I think that U of A has suffered over the years with throwing these kids in and just letting them sink or swim, with 50% of them sinking and not graduating in 4 years. Their 4-year graduation rate is quite low. Quite low.
Something that they also mentioned, it was very brief, but I keyed in on, was their risk for declining enrollment too. And
yeah,
due
sure.
to, less children being born. And the discussion about how cannibalization of students from other schools is moving westward. And I was thinking, wow, that's just, exactly, it's just on a different level. And so they will, I guess 4 or 5 more years from now, it will be more of a hot topic at the university level, but they're already seeing that happen on the East Coast, and it's moving westward.
Especially with public schools such as ourselves being feeders into those state
Yes.
universities
Yes.
as well. And we're seeing the declining enrollments, yes, in a few years' time, that's going to
Gonna roll up.
absolutely hit the universities and people community college as well.
What really struck me is how they're saying they're trying to reframe where they're recruiting students from too, not necessarily relying so much on the local communities, going bigger and broader across the country. But that also has led to, I mean, you can't, as they said, you can't, in some parts of the country, you can't throw a stone without hitting 3 colleges or universities. So many of those are closing. So it's a lot to think about when you think of both K through 12 education and post K through 12 education. What is the landscape going to look like?
I will say the woman that spoke, and I can't think of her name right now, but she recently hailed from the University of Vermont. Seems like she knows what she's talking about.
Provost.
A very
Patty
dynamic
Pullock.
person. And I can't remember the name of the other person who was there that was part.
Chris Wong Davis.
Oh, there you go. They seem to work really well together, and they have a plan, and I hope to see them really take care of those kids. It's a big place, and if you don't know exactly what you want to do when
Right.
you show up on their doorstep as a freshman, you can really get lost
Oh,
in the
for
shuffle.
sure.
And, I don't know if Sienna was experiencing this at all, but my daughter Chloe was basically a sophomore when she entered because of all of her AP credits at Foothills. And she didn't know what she wanted to do, but as a sophomore, she was supposed to know what she was supposed to do. And that was a huge stressor for a child that never seemed to sweat about anything. And it was really, really tough for her to navigate that system. And despite being in the honors college and supposedly having honors advisors and living in the honors community, the support was not there for her.
Yeah, my daughter
And
said the
so,
same thing.
really, so I'm
Yeah.
really hoping that they, and I think the other man that had kids at U of A, I think he has like
Yeah,
3
the
kids at
Salida
U of
board
A.
member,
He
yes.
has the same feelings, I think, about U of A. So I really hope that they can embrace those students better and make them part of that community and make them feel like they're supported and that they belong there, because it's tough.
Yeah,
And
so-
also requiring on-campus living that first year.
That's interesting,
it is.
because that is a major
Yes,
expense.
yes, it is.
That is a major
I
expense,
wonder
and they're
how
discussing
successful that's
perhaps
going to
2
be,
years if
yeah.
they can up the,
mean,
if they
I
can up the
agree,
residents.
I
I
agree.
agree too.
It's ideally, yeah.
All the research shows that there's better outcomes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Your conversation does make me wonder, is there, and this is rhetorical right now, but is there more that we could or should be doing with our college prep program currently under the purview of Chris Shea to ensure that our students who are going on to college, whether it's here in town or elsewhere, that they are as well prepared as they possibly can be? So for example, are we teaching them that they do need to proactively reach out to their advisors when they're in college? Are we teaching them?
And once they get to college, what can they do
Yeah,
there
exactly.
to be successful?
Self-advocacy.
Exactly. How
Yes.
to
Yes.
yes.
Self-advocacy,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
So just make, is there, what more could or should we be doing under that college prep program or college counseling program, whatever we're calling it, to help ensure our students really understand how to advocate for themselves, really understand how to navigate that system and seek out those resources? Obviously, we can't prepare them for each individual college that they might be going to because there's hundreds of them. But, that idea of like, okay, you need to seek out this department and this department, and here's some opening questions to ask and things like that. It'd be interesting to learn more about what our college counseling department is doing in that regard, perhaps with these insights in mind that you've brought back from this what was it, the collaborative meeting?
Well, and I will say, one of the things that stood out to me and was interesting was hearing the provost talk about admissions from a U of A perspective and connecting that in my head back to Chris Shea's presentation at one of the high school FFO meetings earlier this year, talking about what U of A looks for during the admissions process, and hearing, which is different from the, how well prepared are they outside of, I think, the reinforcing advocacy at the high school level. But what stood out to me was that U of A is looking more broadly now, or claims to be, at not just tests, but also what other activities are you involved in, and is your
Where did
grade
you
at
come
a
from?
challenging level, and what are some of the background that might shape your ability to succeed at a college level, that all really aligned with what Chris had presented as far as, hey, here's how you need to think about this process now. It's really interesting to think about the next step of saying, are we teaching our kids these self-advocacy skills here that will also serve them well there when they're supposed to be on their own? But I did love to hear that, because I think one of the things that the provost called out was we're struggling a little bit to convey this more vague set of requirements to all of these high schools around the state. Because how do you just say, like, yeah, we have different standards now, and it's hard to really say what they are. But,
You mean admissions criteria?
yeah,
Yeah, and I don't think they've communicated it well.
no.
And it just,
It's not their
so
strong point.
there's been a reduction of,
Never has been.
of scholarships that students have received. They've
Yes.
kind of consolidated them, and that wasn't really communicated well. So that's what Mr. Shea has been doing with our students about the U of A. And he's on that committee, or he's on a committee at the U of A about that, so he's very connected to that.
I also think that pathway, to Pima and then to the U of A is very interesting. NAU has such a tight relationship with their community college athletic staff, and it's co-located. You can be accepted to NAU, but placed in the community college, live in the same dorms, have access to everything that, all of the other students don't know which school you're going to for your classes. And there's a direct line then into NAU, which is reevaluated at the end of freshman year and then again at the end of sophomore year. And at that point, students can either go into NAU and they graduate from NAU, or the decisions that they would be successful at NAU. So they should, go a different path, but it's very, very student-centric and very focused on where can the child be successful.
Sounds like the Pima Cats, I mean, they've introduced that Pima Cats, I think that they're moving in that direction.
I think so, because that model is so strong
Yeah.
from what I understand that I'm glad to hear that the U of A is also looking at that. And I think for our students, helping them understand that there's a lot of different paths to take. And, there is to some extent certain preconceptions about Pima,
Yeah.
versus U of A versus out of state versus, right? And ensuring that our students really understand it's just what is the right path for you. And taking all of these factors into account, right? Financially, what makes the most sense. And these students who do want to go to the U of A and graduate from there, great, apply, enroll, but that also might not be the right path for them. Maybe it is via Pima and then to the U of A. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there for our students and our college counseling program to really help our students and families understand that.
I think U of A is earlier on in that. One of the specific concrete things they mentioned was they're working on basically mapping their course offerings to the community college course offering,
Yeah,
which
I
is
heard
step one.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be able to say you take this course and it carries
counts.
over to
Exactly.
this course.
And the minimum loss of credit when you do transfer.
Yes.
Exactly.
If any.
Exactly.
And that is the goal.
So that's a start. So
It
yeah,
is.
what you've described maybe is a little more pie in the sky, but hopefully they'll get there soon.
Well,
Like a couple
that's
years.
that's the NAU model.
Yeah.
And it's been
So
for
they-
a long time.
And it's been in place for a very long time.
10 years, more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So they're looking north to learn.
They did mention that they are studying models all over the country.
Excellent.
Other schools, what other schools are doing and taking what they can use. And it was a great discussion because it dovetailed into the previous one that was Pima Community College.
Right.
And everything that they're doing as well, and working on their first 4-year degree program, and just very cool stuff. And it's nice to see that they're collaborating. In the true sense of the word.
Yes.
This was the last collaborative meeting
I
of
think
the
so,
year,
yeah.
right?
Right.
And do you know who's hosting it next year?
I do not.
Are you gonna do it, Denise?
I haven't been asked, but
You haven't been
discussed
asked.
it.
Have we ever done it? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know.
Not in
that-
my 14
not-
years.
Not since I've been around.
Not since I've been around.
Not in my, either
Well, thank you for that report. Appreciate it. Similarly, kind of similarly, Tom and Jacqueline completed a boot camp. This is item 6.3. They completed a school finance boot camp that was webinars, a series of webinars, right? Through the Arizona School Boards Association. 6 sessions.
6.
That is dedication.
Over
And then
12
Dr.
weeks.
Dr. Bartlett went right there with you, didn't she?
Sure.
So tell us about it.
I would have rather done actual boot
That was my takeaway too. I would have thrived a lot more if this had been in person, and I could have brought materials that were
Yeah.
real world examples, but I have the topics. Foundations of School Finance, Budget Basics, which we talk about granular, advanced budget overview, other governmental funding sources, annual financial report, audited financial statements, and school finance compliance and agency reviews. So I have many takeaways, but I'm gonna let you go first.
Gosh, okay, so for me, I think what really stood out was I left having a greater appreciation for what I didn't know.
Right.
And I say that, you know, I learned a lot, but I think I also learned how complex every moving piece is to what we're talking about tonight, with what Lisa is doing
Yeah.
all day long, but just it is still a challenge for me to wrap my mind around the big picture, but this helped, I think, connect some other dots between where does the money come from and what money can go where and be spent certain ways. That when we have those discussions in passing during budget development, to fly around so quickly that it's hard to get them in one place. So I thought it was a really helpful thing to do. I was humbling to be at the end of it and go, did I learn more or did I just,
It probably went a little deep.
Is 1 hour,
Deep.
1
It's
hour
1
each
hour
session?
every
Okay.
week. It went into some really deep things that probably weren't more appropriate for the board level.
But it was advertised for board members, right?
It was.
Okay.
But it probably went a little bit deep, I think, especially when they were talking about how to calculate.
Yes,
Talked about the calculations of here's the weighted count or the unweighted count.
Yeah.
It got a little bit deep there, but
Yeah.
I thought it was timely for the discussions we were having at our board
Yeah.
meetings, because when we were introducing our straw budget, then the foundations of school finance was coming in, and so I said, we sent them our revenue page and said, this is where these are
Numbers
coming
come
from.
Did you find that helpful?
that connected it to
Right.
what we're
Yeah.
doing, and
That's
that
great.
really was helpful. Yeah.
And then I said, our audit materials are coming up, and we just talked about the audit, and
Perfect.
I still had mine from last year, so I pulled them out, and I was like, that's what I mean, I was going along with her when she was.
Yeah, I was following through on some of that.
it was very good. She's
Yes.
very knowledgeable.
Who led it?
Michelle Myers.
Michelle Myers, I think she's a retired finance director from Gilbert, did she say? No,
Glendale.
Peoria.
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 I do have a couple of other just random things that I wrote down when I was thinking about what to report out. It's mind-boggling how many different funding sources there are for public schools. It's almost kind of humbling because it's like little pieces here, little pieces there, and
All with strings.
yes, and it strikes me as somewhat inefficient if we want to have a clean way of doing budgeting and accounting, to have all these little pieces come from here and there. And it also makes it hard to compare funding across districts because everything is so markedly different. So it's kind of disingenuous to say, well, this district is so much more because of X, Y, Z, but there's so many factors below that. And that was really eye-opening. I guess I cannot say this enough. The oversight and transparency that goes into putting together a public school district's budget. That is, as we heard tonight, the immense amount of time and effort just to present a document to the public showing what we do. And I'm just gonna say it, I don't think you're gonna get that from other kinds of schools.
Right.
And they don't have publicly accountable
Right.
representatives that they can come and talk to about what is going on with their budget. Our budget is there for everyone to see, and there are so many mechanisms in place. It's incredibly transparent. And the level of oversight that we put into it, the business office puts into it, I'd be hard pressed to think that other school types are doing the same thing.
Most districts do not publish a straw budget. They look at the state budget forms. Just look at the state budget forms.
And I think you actually mean private schools.
And charter schools.
Charter
Yeah,
schools.
that we are responsible to our constituents for this.
Schools that are now taking tax dollars,
Yes, and
not held to the same standard of
Correct.
liability, which has been one of the huge issues that we have articulated for our opposition to the way ESAs currently work.
yeah, just listening to Ms. Tatel talk about how much effort goes into
Yes.
all of this, and
And the expense, I mean,
it's expense that
Yes.
comes out of our budget as well that we have to report to the public.
It isn't going into classroom spending.
Correct. That 60% threshold. So,
I always think of it as forensic accounting.
it
It
is.
really, it really is.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
forensic accounting.
that's what I had.
Thank
Still
you
feeling a
both
little
for,
stunned.
thank you for doing it. That's
I'm
a
grateful
lot
that
of
the
hours.
That the district was willing to
supported that.
Well, they're
Yeah.
going to be doing it again next year, so we will.
Tom and Jacqueline?
No, we will have 3 new board members next year, so that will actually be a good thing. I know that you guys, I know at least you, Denise, had talked about maybe providing some feedback that for board members, it doesn't need to be so into the weeds.
Right.
As it sounds like it
So
got in some
granular.
of your sessions, that there maybe should be a board member track that's not less rigorous, well, maybe a little less rigorous, because you don't need to know how to code transactions and those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
Right.
Yes, when they were doing the USFR, that was
Yeah.
a little, how to code different things.
Wow.
I thought that was a little bit granular as well.
Well, and I think if you took that away, you could add connecting a few more dots to governance.
Right.
And our role rather than.
Then the
solely
accounting and
budget.
business
Yeah.
office.
Right, so when we were having the wrap-up was this just last night?
Yeah,
it was.
When Julie Bacon was saying, so now that you've heard all this, as governing board members, here's things that you should be asking, like, look around you with the cost of fuel going up, will this impact our budget? I'm like, that would have been helpful as something that should have been like a guiding thought in our heads.
In the beginning, yeah.
The whole way through, like looking at this, what does it mean if XYZ happens? Because as we reviewed tonight, part of our responsibility is to know what's going on in the district and the community.
I also think some feedback that I will give is to ask you to get the materials that you're gonna be talking about that night from the district. So if you're gonna be talking about the AFR, let's look at the AFR in front of you instead
That's a
of
good idea.
of materials. I tried to do that as best I could.
Yes,
When I said, oh, it's coming up here, let me send you this, but it was not always time.
But it was a fantastic learning opportunity, and
So glad
probably
you guys did that, that's great.
the most opaque part of the job for me, that it was helpful to get a primer like this.
I thought I was good at budgets and this kind of
It's a
stuff.
whole new level.
A whole new
It's a
level.
whole thing.
Of regulation, and as you said,
Yeah.
buckets here, buckets there, strings attached to every
But
bucket.
if you
it's-
remember nothing, bonds are for what? Buildings, buses,
Buses.
and books.
3 Bs.
4 Bs, bond.
Bond.
Although I do find that we use fewer and fewer books.
Yes. But is it books in the
Books in the
Larger
bigger
sense.
sense, curriculum.
curricular materials?
We had some acronyms like that, which was good, I thought.
Yeah,
This
this
kind.
helps you remember, yeah.
So,
Thank you. Thank you for doing that, dedicating your time to it.
They've got some kind of ASPA plaque in their future.
I think so. I think so. There's
Racking up those
They
professional
should be
development hours.
hung here
Can you
somewhere
imagine? We wouldn't have enough wall space.
over the years. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Item number 6.4 is Arizona legislative and governmental activity. I'm guessing since there were no updates to the budget, maybe there's not much to
No.
talk about in that regard?
I am going to send you in the week in review that we got from Dustin Williams at the county superintendent. It's Prop 123, all of the different iterations and what it means, and they're all strike through, so Prop 123 is not going forward, but these are the proposals and what it entails. So I will send you this document so that we can review, because there's 5 different models or approaches to this that they're. One is a clean Prop 123 renewal, just do it like it is. Teacher pay only model, so it only can be used for teacher pay. Hybrid facilities and basic aid model. The lower draw compromise, so instead of the 6.9, going to a lower draw. And then the grand bargain package. Pair a Prop 123 renewal with other priorities such as a tax conformity, school choice, ESA protections, and other caucus demands. So I will send you this document in the week in review because it was quite interesting because it really.
So you said these are all strike-through bills?
None of these are moving forward.
None of them are moving forward, so
These are
there
all
will be
of
no
the
action
different
on Prop 123 in
Probably
this
not.
legislature.
Probably not. No. So, but this was just an interesting document to read what what each of them stood for and what they're proposing. So I will send that in the week in review for you.
Thank you. Agenda planning is me and Tom.
Yes.
And I have a conflict for tomorrow, so we're going to take advantage of having an extra week before our, in between board meetings, and we're gonna get together next week. Instead, that conflict just arose today.
No worries.
So we're gonna do that. Our next board meeting is, mentioning that extra week, is May 12th, so we're finally back to the second Tuesday.
Yeah.
But that will be an executive session
And that's why I'm mentioning
We
it.
have 2 executive sessions planned, whether we need
before
them.
and after.
Right.
Yeah, before and after, and that's for the annual performance review of the superintendent. So we'll plan to start at 4:30 on the 12th. It would be if you join my calendar.
And then there's another
Sign up
executive
to
session
start.
on the 26th as well, if needed.
Correct. Yep. And
Just flying
not that
by.
it matters, but on the board at a glance, the switch in the agenda planning isn't made there. Whoops. Just so we know.
I have the new calendar
Great.
that it was changed. We'll change it on the board at a glance.
All right, and with that, if there's nothing further, would a member like to make a motion to adjourn?
So move that we adjourn.
A second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Roll call. Motion carries 5-0. We're adjourned at 8 o'clock.
Just let the record show, if there ever is a no to adjourn